This is attorney Zach Bailey with the Marc Lopez law firm to talk a little bit about the timing of being charged with an OVWI or DUI offense. What we see most commonly is the police are involved with you shortly after driving. Maybe you're involved in an accident, maybe it's just a regular traffic stop for speeding or a blinker being out, something like that. They get involved, they come up to your window and they notice the odor of an alcoholic beverage, something like that, and they think maybe you might be intoxicated. They'll put you through a series of field sobriety tests, offer you a chemical test, either a breath test or a blood test, and most often what happens at that point is they either take you to the hospital to do a blood draw or take you to the police station to do a breath test, and then shortly after that, they believe they have probable cause for an arrest, and they arrest you, and you sit in jail for a little bit, usually, while the state decides whether or not they want to file charges. Now, the state does not have to file charges right away, and they don't always file charges right away. Sometimes, if maybe you were in an accident and injured and spent some time in the hospital, the state won't file those charges right away because they don't need to. There's a certain timeline that needs to be met if you're sitting in custody for the state to file charges. If you're not in custody, the state may not have to file those charges right away and may wait for a few things. Now, it's also possible the state may wait to file charges if they're trying to see what your blood alcohol results may be. We see that quite often. So there's an accident, a blood draw, you may be arrested, but then released while the state decides that they want to file charges. And they can do this. It doesn't mean that they're not going to file charges if you're released from custody. It doesn't mean they decided not to file charges and this thing is behind you. It is still very possible and really likely that the state is going to proceed with their case. They may just be waiting for those blood results. They may be going through a series of files and you're just at the bottom of the stack for a little bit until they get to it. If it's a misdemeanor charge that the state's contemplating filing charges on, they have up to 2 years before they have to file the charges. If it's a felony charge for a second OVWI offense, or if there were kids in the car, or if someone is injured or dead as a result of the OVWI, they have an even longer time period. They could also wait to file charges if you aren't at the scene when the police arrive. Maybe there's a crash, you left your vehicle behind, you Ubered home, you walked away for whatever reason. If they're running an investigation, they're not going to be able to make an arrest that night and file charges immediately. So that's another way where the state could still be doing their investigation before deciding whether or not they're going to file charges. So if you suspect you may be charged with an OVWI, if you spent a night in jail and they told you charges could be coming, it is critical that you give us a call as soon as possible to see what we can do to help intervene. Even if we can't stop charges from being filed, there are filings we can make right away to work on keeping your license, to work on making sure the state still has to produce every witness at trial, because there are certain things the state will try to do early on in the case that if you don't have an attorney for, you forfeit certain rights early on. So it is critical to give us a call if you think you might be charged with an OVWI, 317-632-3642, and remember, always plead the fifth.